Hello, thank you for tuning into another episode of Take 10 on Tuesdays with the Tennessee Tribune. I'm Jason Luntz. Today is one of the coldest days in Nashville's history, well, as far as I've been here, and I'm really upset about it. But we're still going to have a great show for you. It's cold outside.
It is.
But we still were lucky enough to get a great guest today. I'm sitting here with Dr. Shindana Feagins. Hello, how are you?
Hi, how you doing?
Thanks for joining us today on this cold day.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, we definitely appreciate it. So, Dr. Feagins is not only a doctor in the metropolitan Nashville area, she's also spearheading a great campaign called Walk with Your Doctor. So, I wanted people to know, what is Walk with Your Doctor?
Well, Walk with Your Doctor, it grew out of the concept of my own personal battle with losing weight, and that's what it grew out of. And I wanted to devise a way where I could not only be accountable for myself, but I could also help others lose weight while I lost weight. And so that's how the concept grew. But then we took it a step further so that now Walk with Your Doctor not only is about losing weight, but it's about improving the doctor-patient relationship. And so through that, the doctor not only walks with the patient conceptually through the journey to combat hypertension or to combat diabetes or to combat mental illness, it's a lifestyle change. So through that, you're improving the doctor-patient relationship and you're also bettering your health.
Okay. Now, Walk with Your Doctor, is this a program that you've had other doctors participate in?
Yes, we recently had, last year back in October, we had our first annual 5K walk, which was headed by Mayor Carl Dean, and we had over 200 patients show up to walk, and we had about 9 or 10 physicians show up to walk with the patients as well. And so we had a great time.
So the people there were actually, so it was doctors there, and they invited their patients.
Exactly. And I was there with my patients, and we walked 5K.
That's great. How many people came that?
It was over 200.
Over 200 people?
Yeah, that was including patients and doctors.
Oh, wow, that's great. That's great.
And that was our first annual walk. So we hope that next year we'll have 500 patients.
So this will be something you're going to do every year?
Yes, that's the plan.
Now, you said this also helps with the doctor-patient relationship.
Yes.
Is there any reason why there's sometimes a gap between doctors and their patients?
Well, years ago, the doctor used to go to the home and see the patient. And so the physician was seen as a friend, a part of the family, basically. And so we've gotten away from that. One of the things that I do in my practice, we also do house calls.
Okay.
And so I go out to the homes of elderly and disabled patients or patients who have trouble with transportation, and I go into their homes, and that allows me to not only provide a service to them that is much needed, but I get a chance to see what their living environment is, because sometimes you see a patient in the office and you're trying to figure out, why aren't they taking the medication? Why aren't they doing what you ask them to do? And when you see what the living condition is, you kind of understand, okay, well, they don't understand, what you're telling them to do, or they can't see too well, or they, it just gives you a better idea of what the living condition is that may be interfering with them doing what you ask them to do. It also kind of builds that relationship and that trust between you and your patient. And so, like I said, Walk with Your Doctor is more than just walking, figuratively speaking. It's more than just weight loss, but it's also about walking with that patient through their journey, whatever that journey may be, to improving their health and wellness.
Okay, so when doctors and patients have better relationships, do we see better health results in the patients?
Yes, I believe you do. When a patient trusts the doctor, they are more willing to do what the doctor asks them to do. If your relationship is not good with anyone, whether it's your friend, your family member, or your patient, they're just not going to trust you enough to try to even do what you ask them to do. So
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Now, How long have you been working in the Nashville area?
I graduated from Meharry in 2001.
Oh, great.
So I've been practicing medicine since 2001.
And you have 2 practices here?
I do. I have a practice at 1916 Patterson Street, which is right down the street from the old Baptist Hospital. What do they call it? The St. Thomas.
St. Thomas, no, yeah.
Midtown. And then I have a practice in Madison, which is off of at 607 West Due West Avenue.
Oh, okay.
Which is across from the old Memorial Hospital.
Across from Old Memorial, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 2 places, depending on where you live, that people can get your care and your staff's care.
Yes.
Now, back to the walk with your doctor. Now, a question I've been wondering about, especially when dealing with the African American community, what are some of the reasons that we seem to have a lot of struggles, not only with our weight, but with the diseases that come with it, like diabetes and hypertension?
I think part of it is just our lifestyle, the way we were raised,
Mm-hmm.
and education. One of the things that I started last year, and it focuses more than on women. It's called Power in the Pump. And when I say power in the pump, I'm talking about the pump as in the heel, the shoe that a woman wears. That heel, that pump, provides stability for a woman when she's walking.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's power in that heel, and so there's power in that pump. And one of the ideas that I came up with is to provide education through Power in the Pump with lecture series where I get a group of women and we talk about medical issues that affect African American women in general, more specifically. And because women, we're the caregivers of our family. We're the ones that get our children to the doctor. We get our significant other, our spouses, to the doctors. So if you educate a woman, you're pretty much educating the whole family.
Makes sense.
And you're going to get that family to the doctor. So we started that series last year. We do them every 3 to 4 months.
Power in the Pump?
Mm-hmm, Power in the Pump.
Power in the Pump.
So the last series we talked about heart disease because that's the #1 killer of Americans all over.
Wow.
It's not just African Americans, it's not just Caucasian Americans, it's not just women, it's not just men, it's Americans.
Now, when you speak about African Americans, our lifestyle or our culture, are we talking a lot to do with the way that we eat?
Yeah, so, we grew up eating foods that were high in salt, high in fat, and that goes back to slavery, when we were brought over here, a lot of times, we weren't fed, we didn't eat,
yes.
And so when we did eat, we were given foods that were high in fat,
mm-hmm.
High in salt, pork, and things like that. And so over time, that's what we were used to eating. And so we learned how to make meals out of what we had.
Yes, okay.
And so those things carried on from tradition to tradition and through our families. And so now we got the worst of the animal, the chitlins.
Yes.
The hog intestines. And so, we made chitlins out of that. And I mean, that's not healthy, but we eat it. And you add the hot sauce on top of it. And
it's a lot of sodium.
Yeah, it's a lot of salt and sodium. And that, affects your blood pressure. And then, sugars, your white sugars or your potatoes, starches, things like that. That's carbohydrates, and that increases your risk of diabetes. And then, if you have a sedentary lifestyle and you're not exercising, you're not active,
yes.
You add all of that on top of the foods that you eat, you're increasing your risk of high blood pressure, diabetes. And if those things are not controlled because you're not going to the doctor on a regular basis and you're not taking your medication like you're supposed to, then you're increasing your risk for heart attack, heart disease, stroke, death.
Makes sense.
Like that.
Makes sense. I was wondering that too because I've had people that give me pushback when I speak about some of our unhealthy eating habits, and they'll mention people in their families that lived a long time eating like that. But I used to point out that, but our ancestors were also a lot more active.
Right. I mean, our ancestors went out in the cotton field and picked cotton.
Yeah.
They were doing some seriously hard labor.
They were sweating
for hours.
Yeah.
So even though they ate the fattening foods, they were burning it off.
Yes.
You know.
But most people now are sitting in cubicles all day.
They sitting in the cubicles, they sitting at home on Facebook, or
They on Facebook.
on the internet, spend hours on the computer playing
Yes.
Xbox or whatever.
Yes, so those foods can definitely have some dangerous after effects
Right.
when we don't do much with our lifestyle.
Right.
Well, I think that it's a great program that you have. So you're showing patients that the doctors are also regular people that need to take care of themselves and
Right.
developing relationships with each other.
Yeah, we're not perfect. I mean, there's doctors out there that smoke and tell patients don't smoke. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life, but my mom smoked. She still smokes, and
Wow.
when I was a child, I remember telling her, "Could you please roll down the window?" And that was before secondhand smoke. They even knew the effects of secondhand smoke. So thank God I had enough sense then to say, "Could you please roll down the window, Mom?" And she did it. And she would go outside and smoke.
Wow.
But she still smokes, and but I've never smoked. But there's doctors out there that smoke, but they tell their patients not to smoke.
Okay.
I mean, I like to eat, but I have to try to watch what I eat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always like to exercise. I'm just like anybody else, but I have to make myself exercise. Some days I don't want to exercise, so.
Well, to me, it makes sense because it sounds like this is a kind of program that ordinary people can get behind because you're being realistic about your battle is the same as all of ours. And then as the program progresses, everybody can get in better shape together.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah, so, with weight loss, you can end diabetes in some cases. You can end the hypertension in some cases. So it's, like I said, it's a journey that we walk with you to achieve whatever the end result is, whether it's reducing the amount of medications that you're on or completely eliminating them from, your life. It's just a one day, step at a time journey that you're going to do.
Yes. Well, before I let you go, do you have a website that our audience can reach out and get more information about?
The Walk With Your Doctor website is just www.walkwithyourdoctor.org.
Great. Walkwithyourdoctor.org. And I'm sure that people will be reaching out. And the next 5K will be in the fall of this year?
Yeah, it'll probably be in September or October. Also, if you want to reach us for an appointment, you can reach us at feaginsmedicalgroup.com. That's F as in Frank, EAGIN as in Nancy, S as in Sam, medicalgroup.com. It's all one word. Or you can call 615-712-7019.
All right, that's great. That's great. This is a great doctor, and you should definitely reach out to her if you're here in the Nashville area. And I want to thank you again for coming out on this cold day.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And once again, you've been watching Take 10 on Tuesday with the Tennessee Tribune. See you next time.